Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 84 of Reaction Time Podcast. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the new DreamWorks movie, The Wild Robot.
Yes. Directed by Chris Sanders?
Yep.
I think that's his name. He did How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch. You know, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay.
I had no idea.
Starring Pedro Pascal, Kit Connor, and Lupita Nyong'o.
And Mark Hamill.
And Mark Hamill. Was he the bear?
He was the bear.
He was the bear. Okay, that's what I thought.
Bro, his voice acting is so good.
And some other people who like I've seen and I know, but I couldn't place them. I mean, I can place them in things, but I don't think they're household names. Like Bill Nighy,
Right.
Longneck. Like he's in It's About Time, which is like one of my favorites.
Isn't he a science guy?
Is he a science guy?
Bill Nye?
What do you mean? Oh my gosh. That's actually really funny. His name is Bill Nighy. I don't know how to say his name. And then Ving Rhames, who I know also, but what do I know him from?
We were thinking that Kit Connor was Hero from Big Hero 6. The goose. They kind of sounded the same.
Is he?
No.
Oh,
No.
interesting. But the guy who voices Thunderbolt, which I think is the owl.
Yeah.
He's the guy from Mission Impossible.
Oh, okay.
So, because right when he started talking, Courtney goes, "Is that Samuel L. Jackson?" And I was like, "No, but I know that voice." So I looked it up.
It kind of sounded like him.
Yeah, a little bit. So, Craig, first of all, who did you see this movie with? Did you go with the fam?
I went with the whole family.
The first thing I want to know is, how did your kids like it?
They loved it.
Okay.
They thought it was fun. Lil got just a teeny bit scared at some of the parts, like when the bear was chasing and stuff.
Yeah, it was a little scary and a little dark.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Kind of surprisingly so.
So much death
parts,
talked about.
Yeah, so much death. Which I mean, kids have to learn about death at some point, and I think this is an appropriate way in a lot of ways to teach them. So cool, but just
there were some parts where I was like, "Did I just hear that?"
Oh yeah, for sure.
And we'll get into that in spoilers, but
absolutely, yeah. So how'd you like it?
This is my favorite movie of the year.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, at least so far.
Wow.
I don't really know if there'll be anything else that'll top it, but this is definitely my movie of the year.
So this beats out Deadpool. This is beating out Inside Out.
It beats out Inside Out too for me.
Okay.
Deadpool and Wolverine is my movie of the year for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like Deadpool and Wolverine's my favorite movie of the year. This is best movie of the year.
Yeah.
Because Deadpool and Wolverine is like a good movie, but it's not a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, what would you give this movie out of 10?
Oh, man. There's only one complaint I have about it. There's one part of one of the storylines that I felt was a bit rushed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to decide if that's enough to 9.9.
Yeah.
It might be 10.
Yeah. So when I started this movie, so I'll say right off the bat, I tried to go in with just neutral expectations, although I had only heard good things about it, so I was kind of, in that realm.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, I didn't love the animation style. It grew on me, but right off the bat,
really?
I didn't love it.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, is this just like a WALL-E ripoff? And then I basically openly weeped the rest of the movie. And so it was,
Yes.
it was so good.
It was so
This
good.
was the sweetest, cutest
Oh,
movie I have ever seen in my whole life.
I literally finished this movie, and in my head, I was like, literally, the first episode, Sam talks about how he wanted to do a podcast because he openly is like a, what's the word? What was the word you use?
An avid crier? Was
Avid
that what it
crier.
was?
That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah. An avid crier. And so I was like, we've watched all these movies, and there's been like, yeah, I kind of like got a tear, but there was like nothing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
if he did not bawl his eyes out in this movie, I'm gonna
this
be mad.
one, man, this one really, I lived up to my name on this one. I just, it was,
So good.
and for no reason at all. I mean, not for no reason, but like, how often do you think about your own mom in a movie? And I just sat there just thinking about my
gosh.
mom, and I was just like, I'm like tearing up right now. I was just like,
I'm trying to
my
get through this
God.
episode without getting emotional.
Yeah, so they did a really good job.
They did a
on this
really good
movie.
job.
So
Holy
it
crap.
quickly, very quickly turned because I don't think they were trying to do a Wall-E ripoff or anything, and I know this is based off of a book and stuff anyway. But I was kind of like, oh, is it gonna be similar to that? And then so
No.
quickly it got its own storyline completely,
Yeah.
and I'm just when I think about this movie, my eyes get like a little watery. But it was very good.
I came home today, and Lindsay had the speakers on and was blasting the two songs from this movie. The one that I didn't realize she's the one that's in the middle. Why don't you just meet me in the middle?
Maren Morris. I love Maren Morris.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
And so
She's not a household name, but she's done a lot of stuff that
She's
people have
so
heard.
good.
She's very good. Yeah.
So yeah, she was
Yeah,
listening to those two songs over and over, and I'm like,
Which were
you're gonna make me cry.
both songs were beautifully
so
placed
good.
in the movie also. Like it's
So
just,
good.
So I would also give it a 9.9. I have minor gripes here and there that do not detract from the experience. But I just,
This is how I wanted to feel in Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
Like
Because I
was
think Inside
expecting
Out-
to just be destroyed in Inside Out 2, and I was like, "Oh, that was sad." But it wasn't as Inside Out 1 makes me cry more than 2.
For sure. And Inside Out 2 is like very relatable and it's funny and it has some like funny like adult jokes and stuff like that. And it does do a very good job at the anxiety and all of that kind of stuff. But this one,
so good.
I felt so much more during this movie
Yeah.
than I did during Inside Out. And that's nothing against Inside Out at all. I don't think they did anything like poorly, but I think it was just
Fantastic
very
movie.
different. And this one this really, really got me in my feels. So,
Oh yeah. This
yeah. I
this
did
is
not see
stuff-
it coming at all.
No. And the stuff that they were talking about in terms of programming, meaning parenting and stuff, I was just like, how are you doing this? How are you describing, how is a robot talking in such a way that like perfectly describes parenting, you know? Like
Yeah.
it was so crazy like how well they did that with like coding
Yeah.
and programming and stuff, and I was just like, well, the writers are slamming it today. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah, it was very well done.
It was good.
Very well done.
Please see this movie. It needs the support, because if it doesn't get the support, we don't see movies like this.
Yeah.
If it doesn't do well, then studios stop taking risk. And so support it. Go see it. It's so good. It's not
Yeah.
just a kids movie. It's an adult kids movie. And everything about it is awesome.
Yeah, this one is great.
Yeah.
It is a
if
great
you liked
movie.
How to Train Your Dragon even a little bit, you're going to love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This director
Yeah.
is like climbing to the top of my list of like, what are you doing next, dude?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it's so good. So, yeah, so I don't know. Do you want to get into the spoilers
Yeah.
just now? Let's just jump into it.
Yeah.
I think we've given a good enough pitch for people to go see the movie.
I know. Go see it.
But honestly, it's very worth it.
It's very worth it.
It is even worth a full price ticket if you go on a regular day. Like, not even kidding.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it totally is. I love the animation style from the first moment. It's so cool.
I ended up liking it a lot. There's
Yeah.
some things about it that I didn't love that I'll talk about later, but
It's
it
very
grew on
weird.
me. It is
Yeah.
super weird. But I feel like DreamWorks has been doing a little bit more of that recently because I think I didn't see Puss in Boots, but wasn't Puss in
Yeah.
Boots a little bit more like that? And then did you ever
Like
see The
this.
Bad Guys?
No, I didn't.
Dude,
but
that's one
I know
that
you're
your
telling me I
kids
need
would
to.
love. It's so good.
Okay.
That's a good one. And same deal where it's like Bad Guys animation, actually, I think you'd love. It's very similar to kind of that. It's like regular animation, but almost hand drawn over the top of it.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain,
Yeah.
but it is cool. It's unique. It definitely has its own visual language, which I think is good.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, okay. Well, we're gonna jump into spoilers. So get
Cool.
out of here and go watch the movie if you haven't seen it, and if you have, stick around. Go
Yes.
subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on TikTok and Instagram and X and Patreon if you want.
If you want to choose a movie or a
If you want
TV
to choose
show,
a movie.
drop it in there. If it's an
and-
anime, we'll get to it eventually.
We will. Also, go to our YouTube and go to the community tab and vote. We are now doing the tournament to end all tournaments, which I know you're like, oh, what movie tournament are they doing? No, it's what letter is best. Which
I'm so curious.
it's weird because y'all, I'll tell you what, the first round was A versus Z, and A won, which doesn't make any sense because Z is clearly
No.
the better letter.
Z is the coolest letter
Nobody
ever.
ever made a word cool by adding an A, but everyone's made a word cool by adding a Z. So I don't know.
Maybe I shouldn't say which letter is better. I should say which letter is cooler.
That's true. Does that change it? Because A is the better letter. Like if I
A
could
is the
choose
better
a letter
letter.
to keep, I'd choose A.
Yeah.
My life would get extremely difficult if I didn't have it. Now people are just going to pick the most common letter. It's the lamest tournament of all time.
It's probably going to be A, E, I, O, and U is going to be at the top.
Dang. That's okay. Okay. We're going to jump into spoilers now.
Let's do it.
All right. So visuals,
Yeah.
animation style. I ended up liking a lot, like I said. And yeah, I guess we kind of already talked about that a little bit, but I think they did a really good job at making like scenery look really beautiful, but like not natural.
Right.
Like some of the colors were just wrong, but on purpose.
Uh-huh.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was cool.
It was really cool.
I liked it.
And like the like, cause like the fire wasn't red. It was almost like
It was pink.
purplish.
Yeah, it's pinkish purple. Yeah. It was interesting.
But it looks super good.
Yeah. It was very good.
I mean, for me, this is gonna be a super high rating movie for me, but I had nothing looked off to me. So what were you gonna talk about? Did something look
the
off to
one
you?
thing that looked really bad to me were the people. Once they
Okay.
started showing people, they looked like low budget kids cartoon, like Paw Patrol, Coco Melon, like that. It didn't fit
Okay.
how I wanted it to. Like it almost looks like they made this whole movie and they're like, shoot, we didn't do people, and so they just like went and grabbed like a Paw Patrol guy off the internet and made him an adult. And then that was what they put in there. Like, I don't know, it fell off.
Did you see the people like twice though?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think they were an afterthought.
That's true.
That doesn't give you any excuse to be lazy about it, though.
I guess
Like,
they
I
didn't
almost think
fit-
that's
they didn't
why-
match the animation style.
No, not at all. And that's
I didn't-
probably a conscious choice, but I hated it. and it
But
didn't
why?
look
The
good.
robots fit the animation style. Why
Exactly.
wouldn't the people?
Like the people were smooth as hell. It was bizarre. Like they were
That's
super smooth. And then everything else had this cool texture and drawn texture and all this stuff. And the people just like flat, weird, not flat, not 2D, but just like, I don't know, just smooth and
I
weird.
didn't even notice that until we
Oh,
started
immediately
talking about
I was
it.
like, I don't like it. I don't like it. It
Yeah.
was jarring.
But
to
now
me.
that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, they were literally just like freaking Incredibles people, but in a wild robot animation style.
Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
So that
I
was
wonder- I
my
wonder
my
why.
issue. Budget, or it was,
But there's like only a couple scenes.
or I can also see it being kind of a conscious choice where they're like, oh, these people are so bland and it's the future and it's so shiny and smooth and perfect. Let's make the people look like that. I can see them doing something
Yeah.
like that to kind of further represent the difference between humanity and the nature. I don't know.
That makes sense.
But either way, I didn't like the way it looked. I think it would have been better, just a better viewing experience if they just integrated it better with the movie.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do $199 because
Okay.
everything else is perfect.
Cool. I'm gonna give it a 195 because I
Cool.
hated that. But do you have other visual notes?
I don't have any notes.
Oh, I have you don't have any notes. Oh, you were watching with your kids. That's fine. I got some stuff to talk about then.
I was so entertained
Oh,
that I was
that's-
like, I need to pull up my phone and write something, but I'm like, I can't. I'm so focused.
Understandable. Well, I've got notes that we can bounce off. So the first thing that I thought was hilarious was so basically, if you haven't watched the movie, this robot that is supposed to basically be like a service robot for people gets lost in a shipping container accident kind of thing and washes up
Yeah.
on shore on an island, right? Where there's no people, it's just animals.
Right,
And so immediately all these animals basically kind of think this is a monster because, well, it is. And so the animals, some animals are running from it, some animals are attacking it, and these raccoons, being the trash pandas that they are picking this robot apart. And the robot ends up running from the raccoons, and they all hold on. Bless me. Okay, so thank you.
Bless you.
So the robot runs up all the way up a tree, and then all of these raccoons run up the tree, and the tree slowly starts to tip over, and the robot steps off of it and is about to take one more step, and one of the raccoons is like, wait, no, please don't. And the robot just slowly lifts its foot off, and the raccoons launch. And I know this has been done in other movies tons of times, but for some reason this one was so much funnier. Just like they launch these raccoons like into space, not into space, but
No.
so far, and they land in the water, and
That
it's like
was my
terrifying.
favorite part.
And then one of the raccoons is just like, again. It's so funny.
That was my favorite part, was not even them being launched, but them landing in the water. Just all of them, like all over
Oh,
this
yeah, it
entire
was so
like
funny.
freaking lake.
Yeah.
So funny.
It was genius. So basically, I mean, lots of bad things are happening. This poor robot does not know what's going on,
right.
essentially. It's very confused because it's supposed to work with people. And then it gets chased by a bear, through the woods. And it ends up kind of, things come crashing down and all this stuff. It ends up killing a bird. You see this dead bird kind of, it's dark. It's kind of like old Disney movie Dark, this movie,
Yes.
I think, in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Like they portray death, and they're not, I mean, this was one of the most focused on death
Yeah.
kids movies I've seen. Not like the theme's not really death, but they
No.
show it, right? And
They do multiple
and you
times.
kind of understand it. Even I would think from a kid perspective, like you kind of probably at almost any age, you kind of get what's happening in a lot of ways. And so the robot's kind of sad. It sees this dead bird and it picks up these these eggshells and realizes that, and it maybe doesn't know what the egg is. It tries to put this egg back together, and then it finds an egg that is intact, and it scans it, and it sees this little bird inside of it. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to take this egg and I'm going to, like, I don't know, do something with it. So anyway, it takes the egg, and is that the part that it learns, or is that earlier, where it learns all of the language and stuff?
That's earlier, because that's at the point when the fox comes and steals the egg. And then you have that whole chase scene of the robot trying to get the egg back. But it can talk to the fox at that point.
Oh, right. Okay. So earlier, this was one of the coolest things that I think the movie did was this robot can talk to people, but it can't talk to animals. Doesn't know how to talk to animals. And so it's like learning everything I need to know. Beep, boop, beep, boop. And it like goes in this learning mode. And it just sits there for I don't know how many seasons, but it like gets snowed on and all this stuff. And it's visually, it's very cool because
so cool.
Basically it kind of just shows the robot and all the animals and stuff moving around it. And every animal has almost like a little thought bubble, text bubble.
Yeah, and they're little
talking
symbols.
bubble about it. And they're talking, and it's little symbols because the robot doesn't understand. And slowly, like letters get placed into each one of these symbols until it starts forming full words. So the robot's like learning these animals' languages. And then the whole movie's in English. But you'd assume if this were happening in real life, it actually would not be in English. It's just that the robot is understanding all these animals, right? And so, but just visually, that was a very, very cool scene. I really liked the way that was. So robot takes the egg. The egg, it protects it. It chases this fox who's trying to steal the egg and eat it and all this stuff. And it's the sly fox. I mean, it's might as well be Nick Wilde.
Yeah.
And this bird hatches, and then it's game over for your tear ducts for the rest of the movie. Basically, first of all,
I loved.
It's
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
It's just the cutest bird.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. I can't. I can't even explain it. Okay, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I love when. So basically, you find out a little bit later that a gosling imprints to the first thing that it sees.
Yeah.
And so it thinks the robot's its mother, right? Because it's the first thing that it sees. And I love when it puts its little bill on her and she just turns like pink. And it's like that really kind of pink rainbowish glowing effect.
Yeah.
That looks so cool.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool because the robot, kind of almost they're kind of Tron lights. It's like, they're like trim lights. And they glow different colors kind of depending on what the robot is quote unquote feeling.
Right.
Although the robot doesn't really know how to feel initially.
Or what's happening around it too.
Yeah, it's just kind of whatever is going on will kind of indicate what the lights do. But yeah.
But it's also got like little hexagons like on the chest when it shows like all of the lights and stuff. It's very smooth. Right? It just looks like a sphere, but then like when the duck touches it, all of like these little hexagons appear. Goose, thank you, sorry. I said it correctly the first time. It's like little hexagons and you see the light coming out in like these little hexagon shapes and stuff. And I don't know if that's like each little like compartment because when the raccoons are attacking it, little pieces are poking out. But it's just really cool. It's like an extra effect.
It's a very cool design, like of a robot and stuff. So, so basically, I mean, this robot ends up raising this goose, as its own, and she asks the fox, "What do I need to do? Like my task is to take care of this bird or whatever," And she's like, "What does he need to do?" And he's like, "Basically, you got to feed him, teach him how to swim, and teach him how to fly." And that's like what a goose does. And so they go through this whole funny scene where they're learning how to eat food, and it's funny. Anyway,
Fox is just eating everything.
Fox is just eating everything. Like, oh, let's try this and this and this, and the fox is eating all of it. And then the goose just ends up eating worms anyway.
Yeah, no, but hold on. You're missing out on the first death, no, the second death in this show.
Oh, I mean, there's so many,
crab.
but the crab. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, all the deaths. Okay, so there's Mother Goose. Then
There's Mother
what
Goose.
happens is they're trying to figure out like kind
the
of how to
babies.
eat and stuff. And the baby, yeah. And so the robot basically uses its laser beams to boil this water. And you have
For
to remember
clams.
all of these animals now are like living, talking things, we
Yeah.
suppose. And so it's trying to cook these clams, and the goose can't eat the clams and stuff. And so this fox is just like talking and stuff, and and then just takes a crab and just throws it into this boiling water. Then it
just sits
rips
there.
its arms off and it eats it. It's insane.
And it's funny. It's funny.
It's funny, but it's also very grown
but
up.
it's also horrible.
It's horrible. I mean, it's nature, but it's also just crazy.
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
And then when they're trying to teach the bird how to fly, and they just,
or swim.
I think it's when they teach him how to fly and they just launch him.
Well,
It's-
the fox drop kicks him when
Is
he's
that
trying
what it
to
is?
swim.
What I'm thinking of?
Yeah. He's like,
Oh.
I'll teach him like my mother taught me, and he
Oh.
just drops
Yeah,
kick
he
him
just
into
drop
the lake.
kicks him. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of. Very funny. Some funny, just like, I know it's animation, but there's funny physical comedy in this where it's just
Oh, yeah.
that kind of stuff. It's hilarious.
Pine cones and rabbits getting thrown at people.
Yeah,
Or the
yeah,
animals
yeah.
and stuff.
Well, and then she's teaching him. I forgot about you. Just said pine cones, and she's trying to figure out how to get him to eat. And she goes, "Eat!" And she takes a pine cone, and just shoves it into his
Shoves it in
mouth. That's very funny. And then there's the beaver,
Yep.
and the beaver. Every beaver is British. I'm
Yes.
assuming because of the teeth. But every
Yes.
beaver I've ever seen talk in any movie has been British. And so there's just this really funny scene. So basically, the robot and the fox steal this beaver's home, his little stick home. They take it, scan it, and then build a bigger one for themselves.
Yeah.
And the beaver shows up and is like storming outside. So the little goose, the robot, and the fox are inside, and the beaver's like in the doorway. And he's like, "You stole my design. I know where you live." And then lightning flashes, and then the beaver's gone. Like he just disappears. I'm like, what the heck? It was hilarious.
It was so great.
It was very, very funny. And then really my last visual note is just, it's cool. You finally, towards the end of the movie, the geese migrate and you finally see like the people world, and the Golden Gate Bridge is underwater. The
Yeah.
cities are underwater. It was just really cool because I don't think you see that
Very
in
cool.
cartoons like ever.
No.
So it was kind of this post-apocalyptic, except for people were living in these cool futuristic cities, like in
Yeah.
domes, basically.
You want to
So-
know more about it from
Yeah.
just the little glimpses that they show you.
Yeah, like I want a live-action movie in this era.
Or even like a prequel or a sequel where it explains more of like
Yeah,
the
like
world.
it's the Creator 2, but
Yeah.
it's like the Creator meets the Wild Robot, and it's the two movies combined. That'd actually be dope.
That'd be super cool.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think it was really just had some really good stuff.
So the two other things that I was going to bring up, the one that I thought was very, very cool was when the robot touches the tree that has all the butterflies on it.
Oh yeah,
And just visually so cool that there was probably hundreds of butterflies and you could see them all moving in different
Yeah.
ways, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very
cool.
awesome on
Oh,
them.
dead butterfly.
Dead butterfly.
Yep, there's
Yep.
another death.
And then the last thing that I thought was such a cool visual thing, this is also a very like kind of intense story moment. But basically this crazy storm happens and the winter is way rough, and so they still have this big massive home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fox is like, because the fox had come into the home because she had gone there to rest and was like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Well, the winter's really bad, so I came here." And she's like, "Are other people in trouble? Are the other animals in trouble?" So they go on this whole montage saving all of these animals, and it's very, very cool, very, very emotional. But the one scene that was so cool looking was she's got like, I don't know if it was a family or if it's just a bunch of them, but she's got all of these animals on her, massive blizzard, and she's got like one arm like reached out, holding onto the edge of this rock and just like trying to climb up it with all of them. But she's like yellow, and it's like all the snow and wind and everything. That shot was so cool. So powerful.
Very, very cool. Yeah. That was a very kind of intense and emotional scene. And they even have another like death part because they're going around. She's going around with the fox, right? And this fox, I think, is sniffing out where the animals are and stuff. And then she's digging them out. And they like dig down to one. You don't see what's in there, but she just kind of like shakes her head and then covers it up with snow and moves on. It's like, oh my gosh, people are dying.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like interesting.
I was like,
it's so interesting how much death they chose to put in this movie.
Yeah.
But it just like works.
It works. It works
just
so
adds
well.
Another layer that just, I don't know, it adds to what you can feel during like a kid's movie.
Yeah. And
like
the fact that they can do the same topic, this is something that like Marvel especially really struggles with, but they can take these funny moments. Like there's I'll get into this with the story, but there's one moment where there's this possum, a mom possum, and she has 7 children. And you hear this crunch, and one of the possums
you hear an animal. You hear like the growling of an animal, and then a crunch off screen.
And then she's like, "I have 7 kids," and then that happens, and she's like, "Well, now 6," and just keeps going. Like, and you're like,
wait, what?
Wait, and it goes for a minute before you realize that the possum's not dead. You actually think it just died, and you're like,
it's way too long. It's like, oh no,
it's way too long. But it's like funny, right?
Yeah.
And then they can do these scenes where they've been joking so much about death, right?
Yeah.
But then they can do these scenes where literally all they do is just pull up a rock and just shake the head and pull the rock down. And I want to bawl my eyes out for whatever animal that was that didn't make it.
Yeah.
And that is such good storytelling to where you can have different themes based off of the same subject and have them hit so well.
Yeah.
It's so funny one moment, and then it's super serious and emotional the next.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they can't do that. It's like something serious and emotional, and then they throw a joke in there, and it's like, no, why are you doing that? Like, I want to be feeling something.
Yeah. I think this story, like how they chose to go about telling this story and what they chose to add in is quite a rarity. Because of all of the different emotions they're able to add in and the development of characters, of robots, of animals. Not that it matters if they're robots or people. I mean, it's just, it's fascinating because you're right. I mean, a lot of movies will take a serious moment and then turn it into a joke. And this never took an actual serious moment and turned it into a joke.
No.
They knew when to keep a serious moment serious and when to make a joke a joke.
Yeah.
And I know I think a lot of people think that if you're going to have a serious moment, you need to like lighten the mood if you don't want your movie to be like a drama. But I don't think that's true. And I think this movie proves that you can have both because life has both.
Yeah.
Right? Like if something bad happens to you, your whole entire life is not a drama.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Like that's not how it works. And I think a movie, in so many ways, movies can kind of be a representation of like what life can be or what a short time in life can be or something like that. And this movie does cover a decent amount of time too, right?
Yeah.
It's it's several months at least. They go through several seasons just in the learning process. But I mean, the goose grows up. She says it's like 3 or 4 months or something like that. So it's like this is covering time.
You go through all the winter.
Yeah, you go through 2 total winters at least.
Yeah.
And then and then
fall.
And fall.
Because it has to learn to fly by fall.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I mean, it's probably almost a year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's true. Okay, so the main plot of this movie is basically the robot is raising this goose who at the beginning thinks it's his mom. I think he slowly figures out that that's kind of not the case. And then later finds out that this robot killed his mom. It was on accident, but he didn't know that. And then it's kind of this really touching mother-son, like almost adopted son, but adopted mother, like got to get him ready to leave, but she doesn't want him to leave, but he has to leave. Yeah. And it's just, it's this whole thing. But what's funny is at the beginning, this goose is so cute. It's the cutest goose ever. And it's learning so from the robot. And so it gets like a little older and it says, it says, processing, beep, beep, boop, boop, satisfactory. Because it's learning from the robot. And so it does, at the beginning, it's doing a lot of like robot things. And it's just hilarious. I don't know why, but it's just so funny to watch this baby goose
talk to the other geese. And it's just sitting there like doing beep, boop, beep and stuff. And it's just, it's so out of place, but it's so funny because that's exactly how it grew up.
Yeah. And then so the goose is learning how to fly, and he was the runt. He's basically a runt goose. And so everyone's like, oh, he's not going to be able to fly. He's going to die, all this stuff. Yeah. And then the possums, obviously possums, they're famous for playing dead. And one of the baby possums says, death's proximity makes life all the brighter. And it just reminded me of the star from the Mario movie. I don't remember what it says.
The Luma.
It's something about death's inescapable trap or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it says, but it's very funny. So then, I mean, basically, right when we're getting ready to fly away, this is where the waterworks really showed up and came to play.
Yeah.
This goose can't fly. He's tried. Yeah. It's not going very well. The robot says you have to learn from the best. And so she goes and gets this super dope owl. This owl shows him how to fly. And she builds this runway for him. And she runs and gives him a boost. And he's flying. He's doing so well. And then this old wise goose who's going to lead the migration says, he's got to be able to fly all day or he'll die. And so from sunrise to sunset, this goose has to stay in the air for one day just to train, basically. And he's like wanting to give up. And she's like, you got to stay in the air. You got to stay up. And it's almost sunset, and it looks like he's going to land. And instead of landing, he picks up this rock. And he's like holding the rock and flapping his wings. And I'm just like, oh, it's like a little teardrop. But then, and then he flies away. It's so sad.
So before that, he's talking to the geese, and that's when he finds out that the robot accidentally killed his mom.
Yeah.
And that it's not actually his mother. So there's this scene where the goose is really coming after the robot in their house. And it was such a more dramatic scene than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and it's more dramatic than we could ever explain to you an animated goose getting mad at an animated robot.
Well done.
Yeah.
It's so well done. Like, because this whole time it's just been like happy-go-lucky. I mean, obviously death and stuff, but, there hasn't really been this more like kind of anger and stuff. And it just all of a sudden clicks and you're like, whoa. Like, but it works so well because sometimes that doesn't work. You're just like, oh, that's over the top. No, this was not over the top. It felt it felt intense. And so she's going to just leave because the goose doesn't want to have anything to do with her. And then she decides to build the runway to kind of like prove to the goose, like, I want to try and help you. I'm trying to complete this task and stuff like that. And so then she's also like, I think the possum says something to him like, you need her. You're not going to be able to fly. You're not going to be able to survive, something like that. And so, then all that happens. And then you can continue. But that part, I was just like, oh man, that was so good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was so good. So,
but when the mom, well, not the mom, the robot, but the mom, when the robot, because he flies away, right? And
with the migration, with the gaggle.
Whole migration, yes. And
I've never used gaggle in a sentence until today.
The first time I've ever used gaggle too.
Yeah, he flies away. He migrates with the gaggle.
She still thinks that he doesn't really want to see her at all. And so she just kind of like lets him go. And it's like maybe a split second, and then she just starts running to where he was flying to. That's where it got me. I was like, oh my God.
And you have to understand that she's a robot, right?
Yeah.
During this movie, she does not understand what emotion is, nor does she have it until it just starts to show up, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, right before the goose flies away, you can tell they kind of like want to say I love you to each other, but then they just fly away and it's like, oh, they didn't get to say anything. And she's like, my task is completed, now I got to go back to, because what her protocol says when she completes her task, she lights her little beacon and they come get her and take her back to headquarters and fix her up and use her for the humans again.
Yeah.
But then she turns it off because she realizes that she's kind of meant to be there and that she hopes he comes back and she wants to see him again. And all this dramatic stuff happens with the geese.
And the fox wants her to stay.
Yeah, the fox wants her to stay because now the fox has friends. And honestly, truly, his storyline is the exact same as Nick Wilde's. But all this dramatic stuff happens. If you would have told me going into this movie that I would see robots with laser guns versus geese, I would not have believed you. Yet that's exactly what we got. It really, truly was quite spectacular.
It was.
This runt goose saves the day. Saves all the geese except for the one that sacrifices himself. Then they finally they fly back.
Yeah.
To the island after, I guess, the whole season.
The winter's gone.
The winter's done. And they finally see each other, and he tells her that he loves her. And it's so sweet. And then this evil robot comes to pick up the good robot, and a war ensues.
Well, because she was going to see him, and then he was like, everyone's holding him up. They're all like, you saved us. You're the best. And so she's like, you're where you need to be. So then she was going to leave because she's like, I don't fit in with him anymore. He's with his people, his friends. I'll go out of his life so that he can enjoy his life, right? That ultimate sacrifice is basically what she's doing. And then she turns on her the beacon, and then I think the fox comes and talks to her and is like, he's looking for you. And she like runs over to him, and then that's when they have their moment. So this is the only part that it felt a little rushed.
This whole
kind
thing
of
we're talking about right now,
yeah, because basically the ship comes and to pick her up. Oh, and maybe the goose hasn't told her. The goose hasn't told her that he loves her yet.
No, I don't think he has.
No,
you're right.
No, because then the fox comes as the ship's there, and he's like, he's looking for you. He's basically coming with me.
And she's like, oh, I forgot something.
Yeah.
I'll be right back in.
But like this robot, creepy robot, by the way.
Very
like,
creepy robot.
very well done. But it was basically the ship comes and they're like, we've been looking for you. We want to take you back. We want to. She just kind of says we want to study you. That's kind of about all that it is like really talked about. It's not like anything evil, but then the robot just kind of gets progressively like super evil, like almost on
really
a dime.
fast. Yeah.
So fast. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, we have to have you. And then it's like, we're going to take everything from you because you have grown more than any other robot. And so we're going to use it for study so that we can make better robots, basically. And it's just so fast that I was like, okay, I still really liked it. And it was still very cool. And it makes sense because as humans, we would want to study that robot to better the robots, right?
Right.
So it makes sense, but I almost wish you had seen that same robot at the beginning in some way to maybe make it feel a little bit more like, oh, I know this robot, and then all of a sudden it's going bad. Would maybe made a little more sense, I guess.
Maybe.
Just something, like even just a quick, I don't even know what you would do, but it was just like, whoa, like, holy crap. And then all of a sudden it's just an all-out war.
Yeah. Yeah. All-out war between all the animals and the robots. Animals win.
Which is basically open season pretty much happens.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Open season. And then the goose finally gets to tell her that he loves her. And it's very sweet.
It's so good.
It's very sweet. Oh. And then basically, I mean, a lot of stuff happens. We could go over the whole story, but eventually the robot gets captured again. And basically all the geese are trying to save, well, everyone's trying to save the robot, but the geese fly around the ship. A bunch of stuff happens, but the geese end up overtaking the ship, and the hand kills the bad robot. All sorts of stuff happens. Anyway, but in the end, the robot does get taken back to the headquarter place.
She goes back because as the robot
goes back. That's right.
As the robot is dying, it says, "We'll keep coming back."
Yeah.
So then the robot decides, "I need to go back because they're just going to keep sending more of them, and I will let them. I would try to get them on my side so that they don't keep invading."
Yeah. Yeah. She basically sacrifices herself to protect this island.
Yes.
So.
And then when they migrate, the little goose goes and sees her.
Oh, it's so sweet. I was so worried that she wasn't going to recognize it, but she did. Did you stay for the post-credit scene?
I did.
I did too. That was a waste of my life.
That was what?
It was the biggest waste of time ever.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. When the credits rolled, I looked up to just make sure it didn't have one, and it was like, it does. And it shows something about the return of Brightbill to Roz. And I was like, wait, what? But I had misread it, and so they were talking about the end scene, and then they were like, and there's also a post-credit scene. So I waited all the way till the end, and literally the post-credit scene is like the lamest thing ever.
This is a fox and the beaver planting a tree.
Yeah. So if you go see this movie, you do not need to stay through the credits. You do not.
I mean, he does throw a squirrel at somebody, so it is kind of funny.
This is a bigger waste of time than that one Ant-Man post-credit scene that's just the ant playing the drums. It's a way bigger waste of time. But anyway.
Not as big of a waste of time as Captain America at the end, but that one was hilarious.
Basically, yeah, that's true. Basically, this is what I think. If you love your mom, or if you hate your mom, or if you're mad at your mom, this movie will make you cry. You'll either cry like happy tears, nostalgic tears, or sad tears, but you'll cry. I think
And
no
you
matter
might
what.
love your mom afterwards.
And if you're adopted, you got another thing coming. Especially if your adoptive parent killed your regular parent, not regular, biological parent on accident. Because this one's really going to hit home, I'll tell you what. So, Craig.
And if you think your adopted mom is kind of a robot, it's really going to hit home.
And if you're a goose,
And if you fly an airplane
this is really going to hit home.
and your mom builds you a runway.
If your mom builds you a runway, you might be a redneck.
Oh, man.
Craig, what would you give the story?
I don't really want to hurt it very much because everything else is so good.
Yeah.
I feel like the first half is basically perfect. Maybe even the first 2/3 because it's really only like the last little bit. But not even that's not like the last little bit's bad. It's really good. It's just there's that one flip that's just very quick. So I'll 196.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is not going to make any sense. I'm going to give it a 200.
Nice.
And I don't think it's perfect, which I know is like, what?
No.
How can you do
Hey,
that?
I get it.
Because I think that in spite of the things that it does wrong, just from a storytelling perspective, it does the right things so right that it is in a completely different world of storytelling.
Yeah.
And that
is.
I think does enough for me to set it apart as like one of the great storytelling experiences.
Yeah.
That
I would
one
agree
can
with
have.
that.
So
Yeah.
it's not perfect. There's a bunch of stuff at the end that I think is rushed or doesn't make sense or whatever. That kind of plot holey, and the robots just like firing actual lasers to kill geese when you can probably just like shoo them away. And it's like, is this the first time ever that like? Okay, my real quick complaint. These geese fly into basically this little farm, right? It's like in a dome, and you can tell that humankind is everything is futuristic and synthetic and perfectly grown and all this stuff. And they freak out. They're like, "Oh my gosh, contamination! We got to get these geese out." And like these geese are wreaking absolute havoc on this farm. Are you telling me this is the first time any goose has ever been in this farm? Like their giant farming equipment is like crashing and burning.
Yeah.
Because
And
there
they're
are
just
geese.
shooting the geese.
And they're just and like, okay, that's a little much. But it's like, whatever, it's fine because I cried so much. So anyway.
The question that I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
and this is maybe just me being terrible, but so basically the robot rescues all the animals, right? And they all live in the house. But while they're collecting all the animals, while she's getting the bear, they all start attacking each other, right? Because they're all predators to each other in some way, right?
Yeah.
And so she brings the bear in, and the fox is like calming him down and everything, and the bear's like, I'm not going to fight I won't eat anybody. Let's all be friends. So how does the circle of life continue? Because they're all best friends now that love each other.
Yeah. No,
But they still have to eat, right?
For sure. I'm pretty sure they worded it very carefully because I think he said, while we're in here, I won't eat anybody.
Yeah, he did.
It's one of those.
They all, become
It's a kid's
friends.
cartoon.
I know.
Because I thought about that
I
too. I was like, wait, isn't this whole island like? Isn't everyone gonna die?
Yeah.
Or become
They can all
vegetarians?
eat each other.
But it's like, I don't think the point is to think about that too much.
No, it's definitely not. But
No.
I was thinking about it.
Okay. So let's talk about the acting. So real quick, the stars, Lupita Nyong'o was Roz,
Perfect.
the robot. Very interesting just deviation, I think, for her, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Just from like kind of like if you had just played me the voice and had me guess, she's the last on my list.
Oh yeah.
Like, I would have had no idea. She did a great
Especially
job.
especially with us in A Quiet Place. Definitely not.
Yeah. Then Kit Connor, who I've never heard of in my life, was Bright Bill. Fink. So those are our main people. Catherine O'Hara's in this. She's the possum mom. And then
Pedro
kind of like a
Pascal.
lot of people that like I never heard of. You know what I mean? So
Mark
what did you
Hamill.
think about the voice acting?
I don't know if I have a complaint.
That's fair.
Did anybody bug you?
No,
Even the little possum kids were great.
the little possum kids were awesome.
Yeah.
No, I thought this was very, very well done. And I think Lupita as Roz was a very interesting, like, standout voice performance, which I don't think happens a lot.
No.
I can't name like a lot of animated movies where I'm like, whoa, that's like the best, like since Shrek. I mean, Shrek is kind of one of those movies where I think it's everything in Shrek is the best voice acting that we'll maybe ever get ever.
Yeah.
There's not a lot better than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you think of like The Incredibles, also just like perfect voice acting, casting, all that kind of stuff. This was just Toy Story, right? Stuff like that are just iconic. This one, I don't think is quite to that level of where it's like gonna go down in history as some of the best voice casting. But I think they did a good job, and especially her. She's like my 200. Everybody else, I think, did a good job, but like didn't blow me away by any means.
Yeah.
Except for
Pedro
Mark Hamill,
Pascal?
honestly.
Yeah. Oh,
Pedro
Mark
Pascal
Hamill was
did
so
good.
good.
Yeah.
He did good, but there were times where I didn't really love his voice.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah. Again, it was just like, it wasn't stand out to me.
No.
Again,
No.
I think he was just doing Nick Wilde. He was just doing Jason Bateman as Nick Wilde. Like it wasn't,
Yeah.
there wasn't anything super special to it. That's the thing,
Yeah.
you know?
I'll do a 194.
Okay. I will do 196 just for my girl, Lupita.
She did so good.
So good.
That feels
And I think
low.
a robot is hard.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't like the most robotic thing ever,
No, but it wasn't human either.
but it was not human. And it was not her voice. Like she just sounded completely different, which was very cool.
Yeah.
It was very, very cool.
Very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
but super great.
Yeah, super great. So the score / soundtrack, 200 for Craig.
200.
Oh man, am I gonna give this a 200?
I already re-listened to the soundtrack. It's
Dude,
so good.
it's really good.
It's so good.
This
is
they only have 2 like soundtrack songs, right?
Songs, yeah.
And then
like,
they have the rest of the score, correct?
which felt yeah. But it felt like How to Train Your Dragon score with also a couple songs in there that were just like so good.
Yeah.
Because to me, I wouldn't have felt those emotions without the soundtrack.
No, not at all, dude. The
Yeah.
song that plays when she's like helping him fly,
Yeah.
and she's like running him down the runway, tears,
Yep.
just
Yep.
tears, man.
Yep.
So
But it's got to be full orchestra. I mean, everything. Like it was
it's
so
really good. I'm gonna give it a 199.9.
Nice.
I can't quite put it in the 200 category, although it was very, very good.
Yeah.
It was standoutingly good.
Listen to the soundtrack again and then
Okay, and then maybe I'll come
then
back
see
and
ya.
update.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah. Oh, that's hard.
It's good. I do 199. It's not like it's
I
bad.
know, but like, yeah, it's not iconic. That's the issue. It's not iconic.
And
yet.
I think it's just not iconic yet. That's I think what you're
Yeah.
because
No, you're right.
Like How to Train Your Dragon, when that movie first came out, I was like, oh man, that score is good, but I did not realize how good it was until the years went on and you started hearing it in like TikToks or like random stuff, and I'm like, oh man, that score is incredible. I think this is going to be the same way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I can literally walk inside my house and my wife is playing those two songs and I can envision the entire movie back in my head and want to bawl my eyes out, it's a 200.
Yeah. You're making good points. Okay. So vibe.
Just a 0. Trash.
Just that's what I was gonna say. I didn't really
Yeah.
like it.
I hated everything about this movie.
I felt nothing and I feel nothing.
I gave it a 9.9 out of 1,000.
Okay, cool. On the realer side of life, I'm gonna give it a 200
Yeah, 100%.
because wow.
I'll give it a 201.
This is what I would say about this movie, and I say this about a lot of things, but this time I mean it. If you talk to somebody who doesn't like this movie, it's a red flag. It's like immediately like, whoa, slow down, find out everything you can about this person, and immediately call the authorities because
Exactly.
there's something just horribly wrong with them.
Yeah.
Or
there's
their
something-
mom was the worst, so maybe look into that. But
Even still,
even still, I mean, would you cry more?
yeah, right? Like
It's
thinking
just,
that, oh, I want this.
it's very hard to explain how good this movie is because just saying it, you'd be like, what? You know, if you're like, oh yeah, like this animated robot like accidentally kills this goose's mom and takes in the goose, and then they like kind of become mother and daughter or mother and son, and then the goose leaves and it's so sad. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that sounds fun. But like, you don't get it, man.
No, you don't.
It's-
You got to see it.
You got to see it. It's really
gotta see
truly
it.
its own thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, what a movie.
Fantastic.
Okay, so what do you think you gave it?
989. Nope, 988.
988. Okay, I gave it a 990. Okay, Craig gave it a 989.
What?
Yeah, sorry.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not even doing the math. It does it for me. And I gave it 990.
199.
199, 196, 194.
Oh, I gave it
200,
196. I thought I gave it 195. That's why.
Oof, that's kind of embarrassing.
Trash.
Okay, so box
Trash.
office. Did you see the opening weekend
Oof.
box office?
I didn't.
Oh, I did. So I should tell you.
I think it was tracking for like 30?
I'm pretty sure it did 58.
Whoa.
Or it's just at 58 at this point. But I guess we're like just a day after the basically just a day after the weekend. But let's see. The Wild Robot box office. Right now on Box Office Mojo, it is sitting at 56 million,
Okay.
which is solid. Opening it did 35
Okay.
million. So it had a huge Monday, basically. I guess.
Well, that would be worldwide too, right?
Yeah, that's worldwide. It's done 38
So not
domestic,
much
domestic and
international.
18 international, yeah.
Okay. Ooh.
This one really depends on like I
Depends
think
on
this
word
one
of
is
mouth.
heavily going to depend on word of mouth. For
I
sure.
have such a sinking feeling that it's just not going to do well.
That it's just going to tank and do like 100
And
million,
it kills me.
and then you'll never see a movie this good again.
Yes.
I think this is going to be big with families, though.
Yeah. But if international, I mean, what? That's like, geez, 18 and 38. That's only like 30-ish%,
Yeah, 32.
which is usually flipped,
Mm-hmm.
which sucks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oof.
I don't know. That's
That's tricky. I don't have no idea where DreamWorks movies kind of sit. That's my thing.
Yeah.
The Wild
They're
Robots
good.
budget was 78.
Okay. I think DreamWorks does good, but like, I mean, Shrek did incredible. Like Shrek
Right.
2 was like the highest animated movie for the longest time.
Right. It's Shrek's an anomaly.
But I think Illumination has really taken over DreamWorks.
Yeah.
So I think recently their box office has been a struggle bus.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, what was the last big thing? How to Train Your Dragon 3?
From DreamWorks? No, it was that Kraken movie. That was a joke, by the way. If anybody ever saw the trailer for that, you'd know.
You're so funny. Oh man, I don't know. Do you got a number in your head?
Kind of, but I don't know if it's remotely close. But I'll throw it out there.
Okay.
Do you have one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This
I will go
pains
first.
me. Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, 291.
See, I was doing 141.
Okay. Okay. See,
I
you know me though, Mr. Optimistic out here.
know. Please be Sam's number. I
You say
want to
one
lose on
You
this
say
one.
141?
Yeah, 141.
Okay.
Please let me lose.
Yeah. Dang, that's a
Please.
pretty big spread. I guess that's
know.
usually how we are, actually. We're usually pretty far off. I'll be
We're
very
either pretty
interested
far
to
off or
see.
like spot on.
I'll be interested to see. I mean, 50 million at this point is pretty good, though.
Yeah, the problem is usually, again, this is just statistics for the most part. Usually a movie, after its opening weekend, makes about 2.7 times that throughout the rest of the time. So
Yeah.
if we were at like 50 million, let's say, you times that by 2.7 and you're like 130 something, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would have to have such good word
Yeah,
of
you're
mouth
right.
to do higher.
Yeah.
And I really hope it does. Because Inside Out was like a freaking 6 times multiplier.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens all the time.
For sure.
And I want
Yeah.
it. I want it to do well so bad because we need movies like this. We wouldn't have
Yeah, we
got
do.
How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 3 if the first one didn't do so well. And how good were those? Those sequels were amazing. This is a
Mm-hmm.
director you can trust. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Not that we need a sequel to this movie. I'm
No,
not
but we
saying
need more movies
that,
like
but
it.
We need more movies like it.
Yeah.
So I hope I lose. But I'm worried I'm not going to.
I hope you do too.
Yeah, I hope I do.
Okay, so
Okay.
real quick, let's
Yeah.
go over some of the movies that we have guessed on. So starting with Inside Out 2, that is, we're going to call done now because it's on Disney Plus. You guessed $1.170 billion, and I guessed 1.139, and it ended up doing 1.690.
Insanity.
So big numbers. Big numbers. Very good. The next one up is Deadpool and Wolverine, where you guessed 1.45 billion and I guessed 1.01 billion, and it ended up doing 1.326, which, Craig, you take the W on.
Fantastic. I love that it did that well.
Congrats on that. Which puts you winning so many things. But Alien Romulus came around the corner and said it wanted to give me a little bit of a W. So you guessed 252 million and I guessed 369 million. And currently it's doing 347. I don't see that going up much at all.
Wow.
But good numbers.
I think it's done.
242 international, 70% international.
Yeah, see, that's normal. That's usually what it is. 30-70 split. 347, I am so happy about that.
Yeah. It was a good movie.
I'm glad I lost that one. It was so good.
Yeah. It was really good.
It's a great movie. I'd love to see it again.
Yeah. Well, I'll be darned. So upcoming, we've got the Joker. We've got Joker.
Yep.
The funny thing about Joker is the subtitle of this movie is it's something French. And it's so French, in fact, that I have not seen a single trailer where at the end the person says the full name of the movie. I've only seen trailers where at the end they go, Joker, October 4th. They won't say the whole thing. Nobody will do it. Nobody's got the balls to attempt whatever that phrase is. That was, first of all, a terrible, terrible idea.
Yeah.
Whose idea was that? Shame on them.
Who knows?
But I mean, we got Joker, we've got Gladiator coming, we've got Wicked, which I will see.
I'll think
We've
about
got
it.
Snow White, which I will boycott. We've got Mufasa, which I will boycott. Because I don't want to see either of those for any reason at all.
No.
Not even a tiny bit.
No. It's not going to be good.
No, it will not be.
I hope that Wicked is good. It's not really my
No, it is not your
type
speed.
of movie.
No.
But some of the trailers I've been like, okay, I mean that I could see that being really cool.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be because
Yeah.
Disney has succeeded in live action in,
Is it Disney, though?
isn't it, right?
I don't
Or is it
think
not?
So. I don't think so.
Oh, maybe it's not.
Hold on.
It looks very Disney.
It looks very Disney, but Disney doesn't own Wicked, so. John M. Chu. It's definitely not Disney because I would see the Disney logo
maybe
somewhere. Produced, cinematography, production company, Mark Platt. Oh, it's Universal.
Oh, okay. Okay. Universal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who I think Universal has Universal in my brain is like, and I know this isn't true, but like they're one of the ones that doesn't mess up.
Yeah, no, they're definitely one of the better ones.
Like Universal and Paramount, I always think are like super solid.
Yeah.
Even though that's not based off of anything except for just how often I feel like I see their logos at the beginning of movies that I like.
Paramount because of all the Transformers movies.
Yeah. Oh gosh, don't remind me. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. But from what I've seen, it actually, to me, it looks very good. So,
Yeah.
and I saw the musical and it was phenomenal. So if the movie's anything like that, then it'll be cool. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll see. But it'll be an interesting end of year, like movie wise.
Yeah.
Oh, and Venom, which I also am thinking about boycotting because the last one was so bad. But I'll watch it.
I don't know if I'll see. I don't know if
Oh,
I'll
really?
see it.
You might not see it. I mean, if you don't see it, I probably might not see it.
The first one was so good, and the second one was just trash. And this one does not look better.
No, it does not.
No.
It does not.
So, I don't know. Maybe, but I'm not very excited for it. Is Moana 2 this year?
Mm-hmm. Moana 2 is December. I think that's a Christmas. Oh, it says November 22nd.
Okay. I'll go see that.
Yeah. I did get another hate comment today about me not liking Spirited Away, although I know we're so far removed from that, but I just want people to know that people are still mad at me. So that's just kidding. It wasn't a hate comment. I believe the direct quote was, "I can't believe you don't like Spirited Away." Or, "I just found out that you don't like Spirited Away and I can't believe it." It was something like that. So
You're going to have to watch it again at some point. I just hope you know that.
no. It's okay. I won't for sure. Okay. Join us next week for Joker. They should have just called this movie Le Joker. If they're going to go all French on it, just call it Le Joker and everyone will go see it.
Joker et le ratatouille.
Joker, anyone can cook.
Also, I know we haven't seen it yet, but just based off of the reviews so far, I just want to say I told you so because I'm probably going to be 100% right.
What, that you hate Lady Gaga or that it's going to be a bad movie? Yes,
Both.
he says. Fair. Fair.
We'll see. The first Joker had bad reviews too, and that movie was incredible. So,
You know what? It had bad reviews?
yeah, I think it's like 67. It's 69 on Rotten Tomatoes,
Oh, interesting.
which is not horrible, but it's not great. That's
Yeah.
not even technically certified fresh. I think certified fresh is 70 and up.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
So I'm just saying, for how much people loved it, for the box office, you wouldn't expect that low of a rating. So it could be the same thing where it just, the critics don't like it, but it's actually really cool. I'm not sure. So,
I guess we'll see.
wow, $200 million budget on this Joker. $50 million on the first one.
Jeez.
Oh, that's never a good sign too.
Okay, well, we'll do Joker next week.
Okay.
So be here for that. Well, folks, thank you for listening to today's episode of Riptides eating all carved, impotent onions. Naked thinkers.
All carved.
No, I forgot a word. Hold on. What did I say? Riptides eat all
Eating.
Riptides eating all carved, tiny, no, not tiny, tickled, impotent.
Tenacious.
No, tickled. They're tickled, impotent onions. Naked thinkers iodize meters evening. That was it. That was the one. All right, folks. Goodbye.
Oh, man.
And good day.
Bye.
Bye.
You're all awesome. See you next week.